W. Smith. I was in the Air Force from 1969 to 1973. I was aircraft control and early warning operator, which was basically an aircraft control person, like with airlines and stuff like that. But our job was for the military aircraft side, was to track and give altitudes for military aircraft or their flights, also to detect and identify any incoming aircraft coming into our airspace. In spring of 1970, while I was stationed in Klamath Falls, Oregon, I came up to the radar site on the evening shift, and where there's normally 2 or 3 people in the radar room, there was quite a few, from the cooks to maintenance, all kinds of people. And I asked what was going on, and they said that they was watching a UFO, and I immediately was stunned and asked if the Pentagon was notified. Somebody called the president, and they said no, they don't do that. And I said, well, we should call the news media, or call somebody. This is earth-shaking news, and to me. And he said, no, just calm down. NORAD knows about it. They called NORAD, and that's when the senior NCO pulled me to the side and said that NORAD knows about it. That's the only people we notify. We don't talk about this. We don't tell anybody about this. The people that know, and we just watch, see what happens, and that's it. That's our job. And I insisted, well, there has to be a report filed or something filed, And he said, well, that there is a report that you can file. It's about 1 inch thick. And the first 2 pages is about the sighting. The rest of it is basically a psychological profile of you, your family, your bloodlines, everything. So when the Air Force goes through it, they can discredit you completely by either saying that you was on drugs, or your mother was a communist, or anything to discredit you, and you'd never get a promotion. And I'd spend the next 3.5 years up at the North Pole, living in a tent checking the weather balloons. No hope of promotion. So the message was pretty loud and clear. You just shut up and don't say anything to anybody. It was stationary, wasn't moving at all, and it would slowly lower itself down. It would until it got behind a mountain, so that you lost radar contact. It would stay down for about 15 minutes, and the next thing you knew, it was right back up there. It was up, 80,000, 90,000 feet. And then the next sweep of the radar scope, it would be, like 200 miles away, stationary, completely stopped. And it would hover there for 5-10 minutes, and then slowly start descending until it dropped off radar. Then it would come back up, and it did this like 3 times that I seen. I heard that it's not an infrequent occurrence out there. They happen quite often, but I seen it actually twice. The object that we seen, it was stationary, and then the next sweep of the scope, which the radar has 6 sweeps a minute, 6 sweeps a minute, would, one sweep it would be here, next sweep it would be 200 miles away, completely stopped. And there's no aircraft that can accelerate and decelerate that fast without having the pilot's face through the windshield. It's impossible for gravity to operate that way. So it was obviously something we didn't have. We never scrambled interceptors on them, so it's obviously something the Russians never had. It was a UFO. That's the only explanation there was for it. And the fact that NORAD, that we called NORAD, they knew about it, or they would call us to tell us. NORAD knew about it, and like I said, they just handle it like it's just UFO. Just watch it and see what happens, but don't take any actions. Don't tell anybody. Don't write it down. Don't disclose it. NORAD is North American Air Defense Command. They're in charge of all the airspace of the United States of North America, and it's their job to identify any incoming aircraft, any threats, any Russian planes or any aircraft at all. And so the first thing they do is that any blip that comes in that they don't know what it is, they check it with the flight plans of airlines or private carriers or whatever, and so everything is identified. So when something like this just pops up on the scope with no flight plan and doing erratic behaviors, it's their job to identify it. They have a tie-in with all the radar stations in North America. It all goes to Cheyenne Mountain, and so they have like a big screen, and they can see any area of the country at any time, and so that's how they know. Like, for instance, this other experience was on third shift. I was on a radar, and NORAD called me and informed me that there was a UFO coming up the California coast, and it'd be in my area pretty soon. So I said, "What do you want me to do?" And they said, "Nothing. Just watch it. Don't write it down, because we have a logbook that we're supposed to keep track of anything out of the ordinary, and as far as maintenance and things like that. All of it's in a logbook." And they said, "Don't log it or anything. Just watch it. We're just letting you know. Heads up." So NORAD was well aware, obviously, that they were around, and the action of the people when my first experience seeing the radar with the UFO on it, the action of the people there was like, it doesn't happen every day, but it happens quite often, and that was my impression. And because of the way everybody was, "Oh, it's just a UFO." It was just so calm, and I'm all frantic and stuff, but apparently the first time you see a UFO on radar, you realize, the government knows about this. Why aren't they telling the press? Why aren't, I don't know. The radar, they would be on radar because it's very mountainous out there, until it got to a point where the radar, where it went behind a mountain, then obviously it would disappear off the radar. And I don't know if it actually landed or not, but it was off the radar for a good 15-20 minutes before all of a sudden, boom, it's back up here 90,000 feet instantly. It was explained that, yes, they're UFOs, yes, we know them, but yes, NORAD knows about them, but that's it. This is a secret. They're not supposed to talk about it. Don't tell anybody about it. Don't make any reports. Don't write it down. Just shut up and you'll get your next stripe, and you can be promoted, and we'll go on from there.